Afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us, and we appreciate your coverage all season long. Coach Shrewsberry, I'll start with an opening statement, and then we'll take questions. As always, just hit the raise your hand button if you have a question for Coach.
Thanks for joining this afternoon. I think, for me, it's a chance to go back and revisit everything. You kind of get to this point of the season and you never want it to end. But at some point in time it ends. You take a little bit of time to kind of decompress from the season. But then you immediately jump back into, what changes you want to make, what you can do better. I think that's kind of the process right now, and the phase of what I'm in is what we can do better as we start, heading into next year. And then it's about, building our roster out the right way and making sure we have all the pieces that we need so we can be ready to compete again. And, I've said it before many times that I hate losing. And more than that, I hate watching people play. So the NCAA tournament's not very enjoyable during this time, but you also get a chance to learn from it, see what the teams that are in it are doing well, and, see if there's something that you're missing that you may be able to add. So, I'm proud of our group. I'm proud of our effort that we had this season, what we did. But, there's always room to improve. And, that's what we're looking to do as we move into next season. So, so happy that I got a chance to coach this group. But also, thank the four seniors, the guys that are out of eligibility now, John, Jelani, Greg, and Jaheim, for spending their last year with me. So I'll open it up if you guys have any questions.
We'll start with Mark Brennan.
Hey, thank you for taking the time today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
You had a couple of guys, Mike, veteran guys, and Sam and Miles, who really didn't mind if they were coming off the bench, kind of did whatever you asked them to do. How important were they to establishing your culture? And do you have any indication yet on whether they intend to take advantage of that COVID year? Thank you.
Yeah, that when you have guys like that that are really unselfish like that, they were doing just what I thought was best for the team, right? There, everybody wants a different role. I think, I don't know if there's a college basketball player not college, a basketball player at any level that's happy with the role that he's playing. And everybody wants more, but those guys, unselfishly, started some, didn't start some, played a bunch of minutes, didn't play a bunch of minutes. And the way they conducted themselves, the way they went about the season in that way was really key to us in terms of us handling things. They were really professional. They were really mature for how they handled their roles. And, with those guys, for us, it's everybody needs a minute to kind of get away from each other. I think is at the end of the year, you spend so much time with each other every day from, the start of the summer, and then you get a couple of weeks off, and then the start of the fall. So we'll get together and have more in-depth meetings with everything in terms of what those guys want to do with their futures. But we haven't had those discussions yet. It's been more team stuff, more general, and we'll get into that here in the next couple of weeks.
John Sauber.
Hey, Micah, how are you?
I'm doing great.
So we saw last year you guys hit the transfer portal pretty hard. I know the circumstances are different as far as roster space and everything, but what is your strategy for the portal this season, and do you have any specific positions that you're targeting?
For us, you kind of look at the transfer portal, and hopefully this season and into the future, you really do it in kind of need-based. Who we have and who we build around is always be the guys that we spend the majority of our time and efforts recruiting. We have 5 freshmen coming in that, like, we recruited those guys. I know everything about those guys. There might be a couple surprises here and there, but for the most part, I know a lot about them. The recruiting or the transfer portal is a little bit different because it's like speed dating. So you may get a guy and you don't know everything about them. You don't know their makeup. You don't know exactly how they tick. You don't get a chance to spend as much time with them. So, like, it's a gamble whether or not you try and build around that every single year, right? There could be issues that you run into. So we want to do it on a need-based basis to fill spots that we may need. And for, next year's team, we do want to add a couple older guys just to continue to, so we don't have to lean on those freshmen just to be, primetime players right off the bat, which is really hard to do as a college freshman, no matter how good you are. Freshmen struggle a little bit, and freshmen struggle at times. So we just want some guys with them that can relieve that pressure from them, so they can kind of grow on their own timeline. And I think, like, similar to how you saw Dalian used this year, like, he grew into becoming a more prominent player for us. That's what our hope is for these freshmen. And I hope they're ready right away and they come in and, can take the reins and do it themselves. But we want to make sure we have the help that they need right away.
David Eckert.
Hey, Micah, thanks for the time. You kind of touched on it a little bit there, but I guess I'm wondering, given that you're going to have those 5 freshmen and given how old this year's team was, to what extent do you think coaching next year's group is going to be a different experience, whether on an instructional basis or just, whatever?
Yeah, I think you go back to the time that we have in the summer will be really important to get those freshmen up to speed as quickly as possible. They got to learn our system in terms of what we do, how we guard, how we play. So using that time wisely is something that's going to be really beneficial. I didn't feel like we got that opportunity last year. We had a lot of pieces that weren't there, that weren't able to be there, and it pushed some of our development from the summer into the fall. So that's what, something that, we'd love to do a little bit differently. So hopefully we have that. I'm excited about that time. I'm excited about really digging in and teaching these guys. And even the older guys that are back, like, it's a chance for them to kind of relearn everything as well. So we get some training camps here where we'll get a chance to, offensively and defensively, kind of establish how we want to play, what we want to do, use some team building type activities, which we didn't get a chance to do last year as well. Kind of add that stuff in. So, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to having an opportunity to get all those guys here, and, you get a chance to get your hands on them, see what they know, see what they don't know, and, then try and start correcting it early.
John Petitschner.
Hey, thanks for the time today, Mike. I appreciate it. I believe Adam Fisher was the first coach you hired after arriving, and you spoke highly of him when he got here. What's been his impact with the team, and how has he been a resource for you, especially off the court, given his previous experience with the program?
Yeah, we were riding through Indianapolis last week at the Big Ten tournament, and we turned one of the corners at the hotel, and I just kind of pointed up at one of the windows. I was like, "Hey, Fish, I was sitting up here and calling you, trying to recruit you to Penn State last year at this time." And that part of it is, it's fun for me to see that. He's been great. He has been awesome, like a great sounding board in terms of bouncing ideas off of. He's very level-headed. Sometimes when I get a little out of whack or a little spastic, like he's very level-headed and can help in that area to really calm me down. But he's good with our guys. He has a great voice and a great rapport with our guys. And then he's an awesome recruiter. Being a part of, a big part of a lot of the guys that we've gotten, so far. He's been a huge part of that. So, I'm glad he's here. I know that much. I'm glad he's here. And, we want to keep him around here forever, selfishly for me. Like, I also want him to reach the aspirations that he wants as a coach. But I want to keep him around here as long as possible. So I'm glad he's here. He's been great. His family, his wife, like, my family enjoys being around him. And whenever my girls can get a chance to hold baby Livy or feed her, then that's probably the best part of their day.
Ben Jones.
There we go. Hey, Micah, thanks for your time.
No problem.
Sort of a two-part question for you that's a little open-ended. How do you feel like this year went compared to how you expected it to go? And is there a certain degree of this offseason that is almost like year one over again? I mean, you had a kind of a weird offseason. You're going to finally have freshmen in. Some of these guys are coming and going. Is there a certain doing year one all over again this offseason?
I guess in terms of this season, how did it go? Like, I was pleased with some of the parts of our season, right? I was pleased with, how we defended, right? Like the things that we, established as a defensive team, right? Ended up, being number one in the Big Ten in scoring, defensive scoring. And right, people will point to our style of play or our, pace of play, but like other people have a choice in terms of how they want to play, right? It's not like they automatically come to us and because we're the home team, they have to play at a slower pace. No, we dictated the pace to everybody else. Even if they were a fast team like Iowa, they don't want to slow the game down. They want to play fast, this, that, whatever. But our defense forced people to play a certain way. So I'm pleased with that. I think we established that pretty early. That was something that we, started with early on. How we competed, in terms of how we played, like establishing the culture of that, I think, I'm pleased with. There's other areas where I think we can get better, which I think we will, that we'll have a chance to work on more. There's been more time kind of correcting as we go on here. With this being like another first year, it feels way different. I know, like, Fish came in here yesterday and I just talked to him about the off season right now feels way different than last year. There was so much going on. Like when I first got here, I didn't feel like I had control, right? In terms of our roster, right? There were so many guys that were coming and going. We spent way more time re-recruiting guys than we did actually recruiting other guys, right? That cut into like what you do in the transfer portal. It cut into it. Like we had to re-recruit the team. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. But that time that we spent doing that cut into the time that we were trying to use to get other guys. And we were recruiting all the way through the summer. I don't forecast, I don't think that's going to be the case this year, right? I feel like much better about our roster construction, about where we are, about the class of 22 and future classes. So I feel like we're ahead of the game a little bit. So, we can focus more on our culture. We can focus more on basketball this summer than spending the entire time kind of chasing our tail.
Spencer Ripchick.
Hey, Micah, I know you said you didn't really watch you don't really watch the NCAA tournament that much, but there was actually 9 Big Ten teams to make it, and Penn State finished up like 11th and had a really good run in the tournament. How did you feel knowing that you probably were like a couple of games away from making the tournament for the first time since like 2011 in your first year?
Yeah, we were actually tied for 10th. I don't want people. We were the 11th seed, but we tied with Maryland. They beat us. We should have won that game at their place, but blame that on me. You watch that and like you see how many teams that are in, like, to get 9 teams in from a league, only the Big Ten's doing that. That just talks about the strength of the league, everything that you're doing. But then you go back and look, I want to say we beat 5 of those teams, 6 of those teams that are in it. We were right there with, Purdue twice, who we didn't beat. Let's see, there were 2 more that we didn't get a chance to beat. Wisconsin, we only played once. Michigan, we only played once, and both of those games were close. So, we're right there. We were right there, and that's the part where it's, you get a little disappointed that, like, you're close, you're really close. Now, don't take steps back to take steps forward. We need to build off what we did this year. But then as a team, we need to continue to get better. As a coach, I need to continue to get better, right? So we win some of these games at the end. And then we're getting a chance next year because we win some of those games to now we're playing, right? It'll be a little more enjoyable to watch if we're playing in it. So you get a little bit of solace in that, but you also know like how close you are. But if you don't do it the right way, if you don't maintain a culture, if you don't build it with the right people, you can be close in games, but you can also be really far away from competing. Like I want to be competing. I want to stay close and competing, and doing it with the right people, doing it the right way is the way that you do that.
Joe Smeltzer.
Micah, when did you find out about Jalen's intention to return for a 5th year? What was your reaction when you found that out? And what does his return mean for the program going forward?
Yeah, I've kind of always known since he arrived. When we recruited him, that's something that, that was part of, what he wanted to do. Just class-wise, he wants to finish up and graduate. He wants to maximize his time here and really, spend time getting better with us and competing in the Big Ten. But he also, like, you never know, right? Things can change at any moment. So that's why, he didn't really say anything about it. I didn't really say anything about it. I wanted him to be confident in his decision. And, with him coming back, it gives us a good, cornerstone to start with. He got better as the season went on, as he got, more and more comfortable. He struggled out of the gates, but really got going, as the season went on. And then you saw there in the Big Ten tournament what he was capable of doing. And he was doing all that against Big Ten competition, against people that are like trying to stop him. And he's at the top of the scouting report and everything. So to have somebody, you can lean on right away. He's an older guy. Now he's been through it, right? Walking into some of these places for the first time was new for him, right? He, playing at Siena, but now he's going to Indiana, right? He's playing that, wherever it may be. Sorry, my phone's going off. I've never answered it. I don't even know the number, but he's been into a lot of these places for the first time, right? So now going in, he's a little more comfortable next year. He can help these younger guys kind of get through what they need to do to win on the road. And, him coming back is a big help, is a big key, is a big relief because he knows our system. He has the ball in his hands a lot, and he can help kind of ease some growing pains of some younger guys.
Andrew Clay. Andrew Clay.
I'm trying.
Oh, we got you. We got you.
Oh, there we go. Sorry about that, Coach. I asked you this at the beginning of the season. I asked you what had surprised you before you guys first tipped off the season. So I kind of want to follow up on that. And now that you've played your first season, you've literally been here exactly 1 year. I think today was the day you were introduced a year ago. And what is one thing that has kind of surprised you about how this year?
For me, it was still, I think the whole season was such a learning process of like everything was kind of different, right? Like, you start going through the season, you're preparing to play one way, and you have a scrimmage, and then when that scrimmage ends, or the very next week before you start practicing again, like one of the guys you were planning on starting gets hurt, right? So now you got to kind of flip the script of how you were going to play. Us losing Greg early in the year, was different for us because it, cut into our depth. It was a guy that we were going to do some different things with, and that would have helped us. And then you feel like you're doing okay, you're playing some games, and then the COVID situation hits right around Christmas time, right? So now you get all these days off, and there's just the unknown. Like, none of that stuff like you're prepared for. So you have to figure it out on the go. You got to trust the people that are around you. Our administration, our coaching staff, our trainers, everybody around you to kind of, help you get through situations like that, which are unknown, which are brand new. Like the coaching part of it, like, it wasn't a surprise, right? It was everything else off the floor, and the different situations that present themselves that I don't know if anybody's ready for. Like, I don't know how any coach is prepared for, even if you've been coaching for a long time, like the different situations that pop up from time to time. Maybe you've been through them before, but not every situation's the same. So I guess those are the things that were the most surprising for me, were outside of basketball and really outside of our control, whether it be injuries or illness or whatever it may be. And just trying to keep your guys focused as much as possible and control what they can control.
We have time for two more. We'll start with Nate Bauer and end with Zach Gershman.
Hey, Micah, how are you?
Good.
Good. Hey, Seth had a little bit of a tough night to cap the season. How do you use that? Like, how do you address him moving forward through the off season and kind of prevent that from, being negative energy, I guess, going into the off season?
Yeah. He's somebody that, he was obviously hurt by that. Just because he feels like he let the team down just because he wasn't playing at his best. But that was a moment for me to just talk to him and talk about, like, it wasn't like you let us down. We might not be in this moment without you, and try and help him in that, to understand that part of it. He didn't make shots, but I still thought he did a pretty good job defensively, helping us rebound, doing other things. He's got to use this as a building block. I talked to him about, different guys in this league who have made a leap and have gone from one player to a different player in a year's time. And I think that's something that he can take, and to really have an off season where he can take his time, get healthy, and then get back in the gym and get back to work and really use it as motivation. That was the first thing that I really said to these guys in the locker room was, like, remember this pain and remember this hurt and how this feels. because you have to use this to really drive you to prepare yourself to be better. And, you know, if not, like I told him that it also, like, he was hurt about it, but I said that also means you care. All right. If you go through a game like that and you're 0 for 8 and you just kind of shrug it off, and you know, you don't really care. Like, that kid cares, man. He cares about his teammates, you know, he cares about the team, cares about, you know, being better as a player and doing what he can do to help us. So, you know, we'll use all of that as motivation to try and make him the best player that he can be next year.
All right. And final question to Zach.
Hey, Coach, thanks for the time. When you think of a moment, let's say it's on the court, off the court, what's one moment that really stands out to you from your first full year? When you think of your first year coaching at Penn State, what's a story or a moment that's really going to stand out to you?
Wow. I don't know if there's one. There's just so many, like, things that happened that were so cool. Like being here for the first time, right? I've never really spent a lot of time here except for coming and playing at Purdue. So, you know, I haven't spent much time here, but like being here for, you know, in the fall and, you know, the first time, like going to a football game or going to a whiteout, like experiencing that, but doing it with our staff, like that's one of the coolest pictures I got this year. It's, you know, framed here in my office is all of us decked out in white, standing on the sideline, enjoying that together. Like that part was so cool. You know, being there for Thon, like, you know, it worked out, right? Normally we're usually gone. I think the team's gone the weekend of Thon, but it worked out that we didn't play until Monday, and I was here, and like being on stage for that and seeing all the people here was like unbelievable moment and so cool. But I don't know, I kind of think about that stuff, you know, more than the basketball side of it. Like there were great moments like the senior night and being a part of that and honoring those guys. You know, big wins that we had at home, whether it be Iowa or Michigan State, like those are all cool. But, you know, I think about those moments that you've never had before. So like being there for Thon, being at that first whiteout, like that stuff was awesome to me and stuff I'll never forget. Shrew Slam and Jam was pretty good too. We'll grow on that next year and we'll make that even bigger. So just things like that I'll remember.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Micah.
Thanks, Micah.